Welcome back to my road to completion guide for Uncharted Drake's Fortune Remastered. This is episode number 18, and we're just getting off the jet ski from the previous episode. Now we have a little bit of dialogue, but as soon as we turn this corner, there's going to be some enemies shooting at us. It's actually two enemies. I want you guys to go ahead and shoulder swap, put the camera over your right shoulder, take these two enemies out, and then I want you to rush all the way over the bridge to the cover that's on the right. Okay, it's just past the crates. I want you to hold up there and wait for these enemies to push you guys so you can get some sweet shotgun kills. So after you guys pick up those 3 easy kills with the shotgun, I want you to peek out of cover and shoot one of the red barrels. Now you're naturally going to be aligned with the middle barrel when you guys peek out of cover. See that? So go ahead and try to shoot that one if you can. It's going to be your quickest target. When you do, it's going to chain together and blow up all the barrels, and that's going to clear out all the enemies in that back area but 2. Now the last 2 enemies can be a little bit tricky because one of them's going to flash around the corner to the right, and then the other enemy is one of those red shirt enemies with the M79. So watch what I do here. Just take this piece of cover, wait for that enemy to flash around, and then go back. Get your angle using the shoulder swap, put the camera over your right hand shoulder and get that kill. And then we're going to ease around the corner and do the exact same thing to take out the dude with the M79. Perfect. Now that those 2 enemies are dead, we can run around and collect some ammo. Now you have an option here to pick the Uzi or the 9mm. I prefer to pick the 9mm. I just like the way it shoots. I like the recoil. I like the stagger animation that happens when I shoot the enemies with that gun because the enemies do have different stagger animations based on the gun that you're shooting them with. So I just prefer the 9mm. I know how to control that recoil and everything, but you guys could choose the Uzi if you wanted to, and then if you run out of ammo, you could always run back and get the 9mm. But notice this piece of cover, killing that enemy in the doorway, just using my shoulder swap trick, putting the camera on my left shoulder, getting those angles, and notice what I do here. Jump up. I use the ledge, guys, to be able to pull that camera back off of my body, right? And it gives me an angle so I can see what's on the other side of that wall. So anytime you guys hear enemies off in the distance and you can't see them, that's exactly what you guys want to do. You want to try to get that camera off of Nathan. Notice how close it is to Nathan at this point, right? But as soon as you ledge up to something, right, or you actually take cover by pressing O, you get a lot more angles. And speaking of angles, I'm about to show you guys a crazy angle for this combat section because sometimes these enemies will not push you through the doorway, sometimes they will, and sometimes they're 50-50. In my gameplay, they ended up being 50-50, and what I mean by that, I mean that some of them decided to stay back in that doorway or back behind that doorway, and some of them tried to rush me at the exact same time. But notice this sweet angle on this enemy. But while I'm shooting this dude, the shotgunner is also running to my left. You see him over there to my left? That's a 50-50. Sometimes they stay behind the doorway and you can just bleed them out there, but sometimes they'll push you guys and you have to be ready to adapt. So notice what I did. Jumped over. First of all, I killed the enemies past the doorway. Then I jumped over, and now I'm just killing this guy, and boom. As soon as he's dead, I'm going to jump back down and assume my original position and gain that advantage play again. And I actually spent about 45 minutes recording this combat sequence because I wanted to make sure that I could show that to you guys. It's so hard to plan sometimes for these RTCs because I know what the enemies can do. Like I know all their different variations with their patterns, and I try to showcase the one that I think is going to give you guys the most trouble. Obviously, if they all stand on the other side of the doorway, you can just stand by that piece of cover that's behind me and kill them, or do that ledge trick and kill them that way, and they'll just line up for you. Or if they all push you at once, you just sit behind that piece of cover and get blind fire kills. But if they split like they did with me, I wanted you guys to see how to get out of that situation. Alright guys, let's go ahead and pick up our next treasure. This is called the Silver Frog. This will be treasure 28 of 61. Then I want you guys to run around, collect some ammo. And we have a little bit of platforming to do and one guy that we need to kill. And then we're going to be back on the jet ski with Elena.
gotta get to that tower. I'll meet you back.
So as soon as you guys finish talking to Elena, I want you to push behind this piece of cover and wait. Notice the first two enemies are aggressive, and that's because the third enemy is a shotgunner. We talked about this in a previous episode. Anytime a shotgunner is on the map, they're gonna be aggressive. So you wanna thin them out from this piece of cover, okay? You can always fall back to this piece of cover to get angles if they decide to stay at the back of the map and hide, which is probably what they're going to do when you guys start shooting at them. You can also take this piece of cover. It's a little bit harder to get into because sometimes you want to roll up the steps, but notice I can still get angles there as well. Now after you guys clear out the first wave, you can come over here to this crate, grab the grenade, and restock on ammo. There's also going to be some ammo on these dead bodies. Now notice that I do get shot here. See that? So depending on where the bodies are lying, when you try to come over here and collect ammo, I'm just showing you here that you can hide behind cover, get your health back, then run across. If you get shot, there's more cover there. So you can just keep going from cover to cover, right, getting your health back. But depending on where the bodies are, depending on where you kill those enemies will determine how safe you need to play that out. Now let's take a second. I want you guys to notice where I'm pointing at now. See the moss right there? For whatever reason, guys, if you try to kill the enemy, see I'm clearly shooting enemies down there. But that particular piece of moss will sometimes give you guys trouble. Not only does it affect you from being able to see the enemies, right? But sometimes it'll just block your bullets completely. You'll be sitting here bleeding out bullets. There'll be an enemy on the other side of that moss and you will swear up and down that you're getting hits, you know, but you're not going to see blood on the other side because, you know, every time you shoot an enemy, you get that little blood splatter. You were like, man, I wonder what's happening. For whatever reason in this game, Naughty Dog said, hey, moss is OP. Leaves are OP, walls are not OP. You know, we can clearly use our shoulder swap trick, you know, shoot through a wall. You guys definitely saw that back in the jet ski sections, right? Just shooting through walls completely. But when it comes to the moss, leaves, stuff like that, you can't shoot through them sometimes. It's just weird. So if you guys feel like you're not getting kills here and you're like, man, what's happening? It's that piece of moss. Notice that every shot I'm putting down range, I'm not shooting in the direction of that moss. I'm shooting to the right or to the left. And like I said, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's going to infuriate you guys. And I want you to see here, I think this last enemy, it's not the enemy that I'm thinking about shooting here because he's too, it's this enemy. Notice what I do. See how I'm dancing around that moss? And I'm trying not to shoot directly through it because I know if I shoot at the moss and my bullet doesn't register on that guy, right, then he's got an angle on me because I'm exposed. So I was dancing around that piece of moss because I'm so used to it blocking my bullets. So you guys have to be careful about that. Now after you guys have thinned out enough of these enemies, I want you to push to this rock wall. And this is kind of a timed thing. This rock wall that you guys have here will not be here forever. They can shoot it and destroy it or throw a grenade and then you don't have any cover. So once you push to this section, that's where your grenades are going to come in handy. Feel free to use them all if you need to. There should be about 3 or 4 enemies in this section. Throw those grenades, thin those enemies out. Even if you can't kill them all, even if there ends up being 1 enemy left, well, you guys know how to take care of a 1v1. Even if there's 2 enemies left, you guys remember, wait till one of them reloads, get that kill, you know, get the advantage play, and then of course take out the last enemy. Alright guys, once you clear out this enemy wave, I want you to run around and collect ammo, especially on the crate back there. There's 2 grenades I want you guys to pick up. Then we have a little bit of platforming that we need to do before we reach the next combat area. Now when it comes to this combat sequence, you guys need to determine how comfortable you are with the combat. Notice the pattern. The shotgunner comes out, he pushes me, then his friend pushes me, see that? And then I'm gonna pick up 2 more kills before I turn the corner and advance. That's ideally what you wanna have happen, but it does not always play out that way. Sometimes the enemy movements in this path, they can be really random. Sometimes the shotgunner will push you, but his friend won't. See what I mean? Sometimes there's an enemy behind that. See the column to my left where I killed enemy number 3? Sometimes that enemy will be there and he'll stay stationary. He won't move. Sometimes he'll flank out and try to kill you. So you have to determine in this section for these first 4 enemies how comfortable you are with the combat. If you feel pretty comfortable and you can kind of adapt on the fly, then just kill them however they present themselves, right? But if you don't feel comfortable with the combat, just load your game, restart your checkpoint, that sort of thing, until the enemies fall into the pattern that I just showed you guys. Either way works, right? As long as you can clear out those first 4 enemies, we can advance. Now, after you guys take out the first 4 enemies, your priority is to take out the M79 guy. See the red shirt? We know that all the enemies in this game that have red shirts have the M79. Notice what I did though. I did not use the shoulder swap trick. Why? Because of the enemy that you guys will see him right there. If I come around that corner and I try to shoot the M79 guy, the other enemy has an angle on me. So I actually took cover by pressing O, and I also tossed a grenade. Why? Because the M79 guy is shooting me with rounds that explode. So as long as I'm behind that wall, even though he's not hitting me directly with the M79, the explosive damage is still hurting me. So I just tossed a grenade and then walked away. Why? To get my health back. But he was dying. Long as I toss that grenade up on that platform, he's dead when I come back. And that's the power play you guys want to use there to get through that part. Once he's dead, this becomes a lot easier. Now at this point, I want you guys to glance up on the top left hand side of the screen and notice how much ammo you have. I have 9 bullets left. So I know that I need to make a move into the next room because that's where my restock is. That's where more ammo is. I got more grenades. I get better angles, okay? So I'm trying to time it out to the point where I can make a move into the next room. I don't want the enemy downrange shooting at me when I turn this corner. So I made sure that I kill him. Notice the 6 shots in my gun. And now I'm going to focus on killing the enemy in the next room. Notice the leg shot, beautiful angles. Anytime you hit that leg, guys, they start dancing around and stuff, and they expose their body to you more. You get a different kind of angle, and you get advantage play. So you have to watch your ammo count. Notice the restock here. I'm going to get a micro 9mm, 60 bullets, and I'm good to go. Plus, I got the AK-47 here. Notice all these sweet angles. Now I can see this back area. And this is going to play out just like it did back in the previous combat situations, okay? But the ammo count is everything. You do not want to push around that corner until the enemies downrange or dead, or you know that they're going to be behind cover when you come around that wall. You want it to be a 1v1 against you and the enemy in the next room, but it all comes down to ammo, okay? I'm going to let you guys enjoy this combat, and I'll talk to you on the other side. Now that was the last enemy that I needed to kill before I could advance. If you guys get nervous about maybe there being an enemy back there hidden, just ledge up like I'm doing here. And you guys can use that camera. Remember, anytime you're on a ledge, the camera zooms out. You guys can see more of the environment. And just look behind all the walls and make sure there's no enemies out there, right? This is gonna be your next treasure, the golden fish charm. That's gonna be treasure 29 of 61. The next thing that we wanna do is bait this enemy out of his hiding spot. So notice I run to the second column, Get cover, shoulder swap, boom, he's dead with the M79 in one hit. Remember, I got the M79 off the red shirt guy that we killed earlier. The reason why I like using the M79 there is because that enemy can flash around the corner so fast. Put 2 or 3 bullets in you guys and you're dead, okay? So just use the M79, make that simple. We have one more enemy that we need to kill and then some platforming that we need to do. Before we get into that, guys, make sure you run around the area, collect your grenades and your ammo, and I'll talk to you guys once we reach the next combat situation.
Shoot! Another one.
So this is the part of the game where I feel like Naughty Dog was trolling us a little bit, because we just had that huge combat sequence and then we did some platform and everything is died down, and then this fool flashes out around the corner, and if you're running on this little pathway right here, he'll just gun you down. I remember when I first played this game way back in the day, I remember dying to this fool and I was like, what? Because I knew I was close to the zip line, because you know it shows you this at the beginning of the chapter. And he gunned me down, so be careful about that, guys. Just hide behind that piece of cover, toss a grenade, take him out. Then we're going to come down here, shoot the lock off the door for Elena. We're going to let her in. We're about to enter chapter 10. And then I want you guys to pick up the jeweled golden brooch in the corner of this room. That's going to be treasure 30 of 61. That's also going to give you guys your next trophy called Proficient Fortune Hunter for finding 30 treasures. Guys, I will see you back here in episode 19. Be good.